Have you ever heard of anybody saying that X is real, even though I can't see it?
Um, nothing that can come to my mind, for example. Or but really, like, you don't really like know, like, really in the end, like, what even is good and what's bad. Just do your thing. You know what I mean? And like I don't know. So yeah.
Are you still
Interesting.
100% confident that that connection is good?
So now, not technically, I'm not as confident because to me, what's good to me might not be as good to other people. So
Cool.
I'm like, if I'm following like this conversation with this, it's technically not 100% sure it's good, even though science backs it up, the general lens backs it up. Who knows? It might not be good because I don't know that other people think it's good. So
Awesome. I love it.
Cool.
I love
Yeah.
the I don't knows, man. Intellectual humility there, man.
there you go.
Awesome.
All right, thanks.
Do you have any
for
questions for me?
No, I'm chilling. That was cool though.
Awesome. Thanks.
That's really cool. Yeah. Hey, Sasa and David.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. What was your name one more time?
Declan.
Declan.
Declan, yeah. You go for another one? I've got Tyler from yesterday. Oh, yeah? Awesome. Hey, cool. How's it going? Good, how are you? Oh, delightful. Loving it. A little bit tired, but getting through.
I can do it too if you'd like.
Yeah, do you mind?
Yeah, I can do
think
it.
I need
I
a
will.
break.
I will do it.
Who you said? Jake?
Tyler.
Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was here yesterday. He was one of the ones waiting while you were talking to Bessa.
Bessa. Yeah.
And it just got dark, and it's like, oh man.
Yeah, that one went on for quite a while.
Yeah.
Did you
Like
get
the lights came on and everything.
It's fun.
Oh yeah, lapel mics.
Yeah.
There you go.
I'm going to put a dead cat on there.
Dead kitty.
Yeah.
Dead
You know, I
kitty.
went into a guitar center. You familiar with the Guitar Center?
Not
Yeah.
really, but yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, I need a dead cat for my microphone. I'm like, what? And I'm like, you don't know what a dead cat
They may
is?
not. They may not do a lot of like windy stuff.
Oh.
I don't know. It's
Is that like the semi-professional term for those like dead cats? Like
Dead cat, yeah. Yeah. You know, the professional, non-professional term,
Uh-huh.
right? Like,
Like
the
everyone that
jargon.
in the field
yeah,
does it.
yeah. It's I did electrical work for a while,
Yeah.
and the electricians called these one connectors. You stuck it into a knockout, and then you could pull the wire through it, and there was like a bunch of fingers in there. So they called it a beehole connector. So they just go into the supply house and think, oh, I need a box of 100 beehole connectors. And it's like, yeah.
cool.
Do I need to put this somewhere else or?
No, that's
cool
fine.
there, man.
That'll
That's
work.
sweet. Yeah.
All right. So your name's Tyler.
Yes.
Tyler.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nice to meet you, Tyler.
Nice to
I'm
meet you, too.
David. Thanks for stopping again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to kind of explain what we're doing, we're conducting interviews in different communities
Mhm.
and talking about something that's meaningful to you, something
Uh-huh.
that you think is true. And my job is to come from a neutral perspective to help us kind of explore how you arrived at a conclusion
Uh-huh.
and what supports your confidence that it's true.
Yeah.
Does that sound fun?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Do you have like any motivation? I'm trying to think
Yeah,
of things that I like think of as true,
yeah.
nothing's.
We can do. This is my can of words,
Yeah.
and um, the nickname I have for it is my quantum claim generator. So basically, this kind of helps some people kind of generate an idea of what to talk about.
Uh-huh.
So we could do that if you want. It's
I'd love to.
basically just a bunch of words written down on pieces of paper.
Uh-huh.
If you don't like the first one, you can skip it, move on to the next one,
Mhm.
that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So let's see what you get.
I got mystical.
Mystical. How would you define mystical?
The first things that come to mind when I think of mystical are kind of like out of this world creatures.
Out of this world creatures.
Yeah, like
Okay.
um it brings it really leads me to think about like the fantasy books and
Okay.
all that stuff. So things I think that are true based off that.
Is there anything mystical that you think is real?
Not exactly. No.
Okay.
I,
So
I
everything mystical is not real.
I would say yeah. I would say yeah.
Okay.
Everything that's mystical is not real.
Okay.
Because when I think of mystical, I think it as like a defining word of like something that like is made up, fake,
Okay.
kind of in that sense.
Gotcha. So it's like it's like a synonym for fiction.
Yeah, I'd say that's how I'm definitely thinking of. That's like my interpretation
Okay.
of mystical.
How would you define real?
Um, for me, that one's a big of like not only like proof that it exists, it's just like I'm able to see it.
Okay.
That's if I can like see something's real, then that will be a big determining factor because when I think of like real, I'm like, oh, if it exists, and then I think of well, there's been some things that I thought haven't existed, and then I'm like, oh, I like say I've seen it, and then I'm like, oh,
Seeing something makes it real?
yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. Can anyone see something that is not real?
I think I think some people do see that, but I personally don't believe it. Like I don't believe that they exist, but I believe that some people, maybe if they're having illusions or something, see things that aren't real. But I don't agree with that, the fact that they exist. Like
Okay.
I think one person's um, mind kind of plays tricks on them, and that can definitely happen. But I don't believe that
Okay.
that stuff's real.
If somebody said, I can't see it, but I know it's real, how do you suppose they could justify it being real, even if they don't see it?
The only way that I would kind of see where they're coming from is if in their minds they think that's 100% true. Like in their mind they're like, I know for a fact that this like said like it's a ghost. If they thought they saw a ghost and they're 100% sure they saw a ghost, they'll
Mhm.
be like, I know I saw a ghost, but
Yeah.
I'd never.
What if they're claiming that it's real, even though they themselves say that they could not see it? What reason do you think that they could provide to justify that it's real, even though they could not see it?
I don't think there would be valid justification. I don't think there is valid justification for that at all.
Okay.
Or,
Okay. Have you ever heard of anybody saying that X is real, even though I can't see it?
um, nothing that can come to my mind, for example. Or nothing totally specific that can come to my mind. But I did have another idea though. This kind of
Okay.
just came to me.
Yeah.
The one thing that I do think is true is that you like for like mental maturity and like looking back on things, you do hit a certain age, there's like a turning point. Like it's like pretty much if you're thinking of your life as like a book, like the plot of a book, where the plot keeps going, keeps going. I think there is a point where you're like happy and okay with life, and then start transitioning towards death. I do think that for
Like a climax?
like a climax in like your mental maturity and like views on life. I think
Okay.
I think that does. I think that's one of the things that I think is
Interesting.
real.
Okay.
Because that's
So
one of the concepts me and my friends talk about a lot.
that's cool. We can explore that.
Yeah.
All right. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that people reach a certain climax of their life, and then from then on, it all goes downhill towards death.
So like the point I'm trying to like make is like in my mind like I can reflect back on like in the past 3 years I've matured in this way like mentally, not like physically at all, like completely mentally. I've matured, like changed the way I'm thinking about this and this, and like I still think I'm growing. I'm gonna grow much mentally and all that stuff. So
Okay.
we're at 5, 10, like so many years. But I do think there is a point that you can look back at it and you be like it's something changes over time and you're like I'm not growing anymore, you know.
Okay. So everybody reaches a certain point where they no longer can mature mentally.
Yeah, and that's that. I do believe that.
Okay. Okay.
I don't believe it's like early on in life at all. I think it's very, very late in life, but
Okay.
I don't believe that you just keep like growing and changing and developing all the way until like your last day.
What do you suppose causes that change?
I think like the one thing that really comes up to me when I think about that is I have everything I want to do with my life. And like the more I do that, the more that list grows. But I
Okay.
think once that list of like you've kind of done everything that you wanted to do, you know?
Okay. So
Like
it's experiences.
is
Like
I think once you do every like all the experiences and all of the like spending time with your family, and once you get done with all of the experiences that you want to do, and you kind of shift towards the experiences of like what your grandkids want to do, what your kids want to do, then I think that's when that happens, or at least that was when I think it would happen.
gotcha. How do you know this change is real?
I don't. I don't, but like I do think a lot about how like mentally like you do grow and you change because I mean for me like even the past year I can notice a significant change in the way like I've thought about things, in the way that I can look back and be like, you know, say like 8, 10 months ago I was thinking in this way and this way and I wasn't thinking about these things, and like in that since that time frame I've grown, and I think the more I go through college, the more I do this and do that, then that will continue to be like that. But I do think there's a point where that kind of stops and it shifts towards growing and towards like growing and becoming as a person to like I don't know, putting all of your experiences and happiness towards other people,
Okay.
if that
So
sort
this
of makes sense.
you think that this change is real based on some of the experiences that you've had
Yes.
recently?
Yeah, not entirely recently, just like I'm kind of coming to a point now where we can be like I've changed in this way and this way all throughout the past few years. It's led up to this, and I think it's going to continue, but I do think it stops. So it's kind of the experiences that I've had. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Why is your experience a good reason to think this happens to everyone?
Because I mean, my experiences were very like case sensitive, so it's like specific things. It's not
Yeah.
like life changing things. I mean, I went and I traveled, and I went and I worked and all that stuff. But what made it different for me was mainly the fact that I like kind of separated. Like I was in a flow, say for like a set amount of time, and that interrupted that flow with these experiences.
What do you mean by flow?
Like the way like a routine, like you
Okay.
wake up, you go to work, you go home from work, you cook dinner, like that type of flow, and then I kind of interrupted it, and so yes, in my specific case, I went and traveled, did all that stuff. So that was like out of my routine. That helped me grow. It wasn't only the travel, but I think that everyone does break their routine at some point, and that is when they'll at the end of that, if it does come to an end, but even during that is when they'll like really start to grow and think. And
Okay, so getting out of a routine, getting out of a flow helps you mature mentally.
yeah, and I think making yourself uncomfortable is a
Okay.
big part of that.
And then like the older you get, the more you fall in this routine, and that's what causes the mental maturity to stop.
Yeah, I just think it's the desire to do more sort of ends.
Okay.
Because like my desire to do more is like unbelievably big. I want to do all these things, learn all these different hobbies, travel all these places, and that desire is like through the roof right now. But I think that if that desire ever does like kind of end, like say when I'm not going to give an age, but like say where I'm at a place where like I don't need to travel. Like if I don't want to travel anymore because I've already been, and I just want to like I don't know, help my grandkids become better people and like spend time with them, then I think that's at a point where I've realized be like I'm at a point now where this is the way I think for a while.
Hmm.
And I've done all my growing up to this point because people say that your brain grows until like what 23 is it or something around the 20s that like your brain's like growing and changing through that. But I really do think that it takes probably triple that time, maybe even quadruple that time to like you're still growing, you're still changing, and just the way your mind thinks, the way that I just don't think that that does reach an end at some point, but I just don't know when.
How confident are you that this idea is true? 0 to 100.
If I would put it 0 to 100, I do like 65%.
65.
In the way I think about that is I really do believe that at some point you will like stop growing, mentally maturing and all that. But at the other end of it, I can if someone were to tell me, if I were to talk to someone like the day before they died and like really have like a couple hour long conversation about this, and they were to tell me that their experience is that they never stopped growing, I would believe that just because the different things in your life, like the shift of the desire to do more, okay, well now the desire to do less, that kind of also does affect the way you grow and change and think.
Okay. So how would this number go up? What would you have to learn for you to go from 65 to say 70 or even higher?
Definitely talking with a lot of old people.
Talking to old people?
Yeah, and I don't know exactly how I'd like format the question, but like I'd start the conversation in some way of like if you were to say like back in the way, like say back when you're 20, like back in your 18, 20s, because like my parents are in their 50s or early 50s, and they like talk about their like they vividly remember their like college days and high school days to a point where if I asked about them how like they thought mentally about it, they could probably tell me just because how they talk about like their experiences in such detail. I assume that if I really asked about it, they remember their mental they could remember a change in the mental state, if that makes sense.
Okay.
But if I were to do the same thing with someone that's 80, like reflecting back this young, I don't know if they would remember that long.
Okay. So the older they are, the less likely they are to remember a change in their mental maturity?
I would say yes. I'd say at the beginning, yes. Because they're definitely going to notice, oh, when I was 20 and when I was 40, when I was 20, I was in school, when I was 40, I had kids. And so they definitely realize a change there. But
And it's more recent too, right?
yeah. But I don't think like, no. I think that's like for me, this past year has become like been the biggest change. And I think that will become very insignificant 30 years down the line. And so looking at it from another person's perspective, if I were to ask them about the same thing, then what seems significant to me now would probably become less significant. But I think the overall idea of, oh yes, I did mature, and then I like feel this way, and I don't have the desire to do more, and I don't have all of this, but I think they're just very happy and content with life.
Okay. So we know what would make your confidence go up. What would make your confidence to go down in this idea being real?
One major thing that would really lead me to believe that your mind never does stop growing is if I were to talk to, say, like, I'm not going to give an exact number because I can't quantify it with numbers, but I could go to like probably less than 10 people, less than 10 like old people, and have like really good serious talks about them. If they were to like seriously open up about this and be like, well, ever since yes, like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, like all throughout those years I noticed a change, but like in my 60s and my 70s and my 80s, like even my 90s, like I'm just so grateful, and that changes. But like the ways that I'm grateful as I'm getting older, because that's how at least I envision how they think. Like they get to a certain page where they're grateful for everything, but if the ways that they're grateful for it change when they get older, I still think that would, because like they're still growing, they're still maturing. It's just in a different way.
Okay, so like, it sounds like what would cause you to go up or down is like taking people's testimonies about
Yeah.
their own experiences with mental maturity.
Because I don't think it would take a lot of testimonies for me to come to a conclusion at all.
Okay.
I think it would take definitely less than 10.
Okay.
Probably more than 3. Like at 3, I think I could have like a relative answer. Because it's not like like if I go to any old person and they like, lived they lived their life, which all of them have. It's not like one person that I talk to is going to be like, well, I've thought the same since I'm 40, and I've never hit a point where I've like where I noticed to myself that I stopped thinking and like stop like growing mentally and all that stuff. People just won't say that. They'll definitely have a definite answer, and then it's one of those topics where if I keep asking how do you know this, then they can relate their own life experiences to that. And so I feel like after a few of those conversations, then I can definitely kind of get an answer from this.
Is life experience a good reason to think that something's true?
I would 100% believe that life experiences is a good reason to think that something's true. Yeah, I would.
Have you ever experienced something and then you found out that it was false?
I'm on the side.
Oh, is that technically public there?
Not
Sorry.
exactly, but like the theme I'm getting from that reminds me of like
So no, I haven't.
the only reason I did an activity and then I kind of felt like the result I got from that was false because someone else's emotions, like someone else, like from telling me about it, their emotions were very different on it. So when I went through the same experience, and then I felt like, oh, like that wasn't true. Like that wasn't true. I was basing it off of someone else's like feedback on the same thing.
Gotcha. Not necessarily your own personal experience.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because at least for what's like true, I feel like I basis a lot of that off of what I do, my own experiences, and like if I were to say that like something's like true in nature or true in like theory and that type of stuff, then I'd be like, oh, I know because, well, I did this thing one time and that like it led me to believe that.
Okay.
At least that's the way I think about it.
Is there a way to test this idea? Like actually test it to see if it's real or not? The idea of mental maturity ends at some point in older age.
I do think the way is to talk to people, because again, I think within a few conversations you could really get an answer.
Is that the best test to find out if this was real or not?
I think that is the best test, but also like looking like the more I think about it, I could see how my results could just confuse me if I had to talk to a few old people about it. Like their answers, I can't think what they'd say, but I imagine things that would say lead me to think more, oh, well, what if this? What if that? It would definitely, I could see how if I talked to a bunch of people and it just got me thinking more and more and more, then
Okay.
I definitely see how I could be like, oh, well, I just change, like slightly tweak the way I word it, like with mental maturity and how it reaches to a point, and then have a whole new topic.
Okay, gotcha. Do you have time for just a couple more questions?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Why is this topic important to you?
This topic is very important to me because, again, like in the past year, I've started to really notice the change, and so that's one thing I've like came to appreciate. And another thing that I think this is important because the way I picture it, at least, like this is the very, very beginning of it.
Okay. Is there something that you're worried about?
I'm more not particularly. If I do end up getting to like the climax point where I'm just super grateful for everything and I don't wanna like I'm growing, like I believe that by the time that I get there and the things that I've done to like really make myself there, if I ever do get there, if there is a point, but if I ever do get there, that I'd be very, very so intensely content and happy and all that stuff.
Okay.
But if what was the question again? I feel like I sidetracked. Sorry.
If why this topic is
Oh,
important to you,
yeah.
and if it causes you like anxiety or worry about it.
I'm more excited about it
Okay.
because
Do you want it to happen to you? This stopping of mental maturity?
I'd be indifferent towards it. I just
Okay.
think that because I don't think it's at the same age for every people. I think it's just the same like amount with being content. Like some people aren't content with things until say maybe they're never content throughout their whole life, but some people are. If I ever get to a point where I think because I know that in like the span of like after college, I go plan to travel the world, and then I have to do that for at least a bunch of years, because that's what I'd like to do. And then after that, maybe settle down. I'd like to have a family and all that stuff, and all of that changes the way you think, all of that. And so like, those are just the big things in my life until like my 30s, and so I assume so much more is gonna come up, like my kids go to high school, like all that stuff. That all everything just changes the way you think. And so, if I ever do, this interests me because I'm super excited to like, grow and develop and experience it. I'm just so curious if I think that it will ever stop. And if it does stop, I think it's like a good stop, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Where
Like a good ending, like a happy ending.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
That at least that's the way I picture it. But
Okay. Cool. Well, I don't have any other questions. Do you have any questions for me before we get kicked out of here?
no, I mean, thank you for having me. This
Yeah, absolutely.
was awesome.
Yeah, this was
Yeah.
great. I'm so glad that you came back, and we were able to have this conversation.
Yeah, thank you.
Um,
Are you guys? You said you were traveling through the country. Are you going down? Oh,
so I started in Olympia, Washington.
Oh, like the state?
Yeah, Washington State.
Yeah, I go to Oregon every
Oh.
summer. But you know Hood
Oh.
River?
Hood River?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like my favorite place to go when it's just raining all the time, because it's like the first spot where the sun just comes out.
My parents have been going there since they were in college, and our whole family windsurfs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
So-
people come from all over the world to windsurf there.
It's amazing.
Right on the Columbia River.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get to travel a whole lot.
I really do think I will.
Oh,
Like,
to answer your question though, I started in Olympia, Washington, went down the West Coast, did some interviews in LA, did some in San Francisco, then did some more in the Northwest, and then like Seattle and stuff.
Yeah.
And then went to Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, did some interviews there, and then Sioux Falls, Minneapolis, Green Bay, Chicago, Fort Wayne, Dayton, and then went through Cleveland, and New York City, and now I'm here with Sasha.
Yeah.
And then I'm just gonna go down the East Coast for the rest of the fall, and then maybe
That's gonna be pretty.
go through the southern states next spring.
Yeah, that's super cool.
So yeah,
That's awesome. I love the idea of that.
what plans do you have as far as traveling next?
So, I mean, besides like school trips and summer trips, like my main thought of like travel is after college. Like, so I'm studying computer science.
Okay,
And as of right now, at least, if I were to like keep my mental where I'm at, I want to work for my computer, and just go travel the world.
Cool.
And I mean, I have a few places on like, oh, I definitely want to hit some sort of like Japanese culture at some point. I'd like to go like hike around the mountains in China. I'd like to go to like all these different countries, but my plan is kind of to spend it like the time frame I have is anywhere from 5 to 10 years just away. Because like I'm okay like going to a new country and just setting up for a bit.
It's awesome.
Just because I want that experience.
Well, that's one way to learn about the. That's one way to learn is to travel. That's what I've learned. So I hope you get to travel a whole lot. It was great talking to you, Tyler.
It was great talking to you too.
Yeah.
It's really coming down. Do you have something in mind?
If you see us out here again, you can take one of these puzzle pieces. If you see us out here again, or if you see Sasha out here again, or if you run into me in Oregon, you can earn another puzzle piece and build out the whole set. So you can have one of these today. See how it kind of fits together. So yeah, which color do you want?
It's a red one.
Red. Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, that was fun.
Thank you so much for that. It was
Yeah,
great.
you're welcome. You can
What was
scan-
the claim?
We talked about this idea of mental maturity coming to a climax, and then it just goes downhill from there. But it could be a good, happy ending.
Interesting.
That was just the thought. that,
Okay.
like,
All right.
had
Did
for
you
a
get
moment.
the YouTube channel already?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
yesterday.
cool. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks again so
Yeah, of
much
course.
for
Thank
coming
you.
back.
Here's this.
Yeah.
Take it.
It was great to meet you, Chip.
Oh.
Yeah. You as well. Take care.
Yeah, nice. I wish I would have had more. I had to.
Sorry, you guys
go,
got kicked out.
professional. Yeah.
Happy trails.
Yeah. Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Take
man.
care.
I raked in a street preacher.
Oh, nice.
It's really coming down.
She was really nice. She's like, yeah, I can't really have you here. She's like, I really like that idea though. He's like, I don't want to kick you out, but what are we doing wrong? It's private property, but we're not sleeping yet. I mean, we knew that, right? No, no. I thought, yeah. Remember the whole like, we'll wait until we get yelled at thing? Yeah.